autonomous world is being tested, and that comes out of the collaborative economy where people are sharing cars and or homes. Those cars and homes are now becoming automated. We see self-driving cars on a regular basis in Silicon Valley. People are installing many smart home appliances and devices in their homes, plus cameras. So it's already starting to happen. But it's not mature. It's really in the testing phase, and there's regulations to make sure there's safety. But we're moving faster and faster through these eras. So it's not like we wait several years. It's happening within just a few or a couple years. So right now the world is being mapped digitally, and we're using sensors, also known as Internet of Things, or we're scanning the world with digital cameras, or we're using GPS and location. And the whole world's becoming digitized, and then from there we can identify which resources could be shared very quickly, and it makes things more efficient. For example, a block could share a bunch of shared trucks. You don't need a truck every day. Yeah. Or a shared van. You don't need a van every day. And this could reduce the cost and maybe reduce the congestion and the traffic in a neighborhood. And there's many items that can be done in that way. So the physical world is becoming digitized, which results in new efficient business models. They have to rent them out, and they have to create the same service models. I was recently at Mercedes Innovation Lab in Silicon Valley, and I spent time at Cruise, which is owned by General Motors. And Tesla's CEO, Elon Musk, believes that those cars will be available on demand, and you could borrow a neighbor's car and rent it from them. So there's a variety of business models, but essentially the car manufacturers know they need to offer on-demand mobility services rather than sell the car outright. Now, in some cases, like in Ford, they've even partnered with car sharing startups. So you could purchase an economy Ford vehicle, and then you could list it out for rent and generate cash flow. So there's a number of business models, but the trend is pretty clear. In a few decades from now, most of these vehicles will be shared in many cases. You may not own all of these things that you don't use all the time. One final stat is cars are used, I believe, around 5% of the time. 95% of the time they're parked, and that's not really helping. The data. Right. In the past, we would say whoever owns the real estate, generates the wealth. Yes, there's still truth in that, but whoever owns the data can control the customer experience and where the resources shift, even on top of real estate, and then therefore they will have the first rights of monetization without having to own the land and manage the land and the liabilities and the taxes of the land. So whoever has the data, they have the power. Data is gold. Yes. So this is the biggest unknown and a concern is where is this data going? And is it going to Silicon Valley, or are we using apps and they're going to other countries? Is it floating between telecom system and multiple governments? Who's harnessing and harvesting it? Where is it being stored? Nobody really knows, and people don't read the fine print. And what if these companies get acquired by a foreign company or government? We don't know, and this is a major risk. So what's happening right now is we're trading convenience for privacy. Yeah. And we're not thinking about it on what it really means. We're just doing it. And governments are doing it, businesses are doing it, and citizens are doing it without clear regard. It depends on the terms of services of which company we're talking about, but in most cases, you're often signing that data over unless you're paying a premium for a particular product. In the case of the Apple phones, that data is likely more safe because you're paying so much money and they're not enabling governments to open those phones to collect that data out of the phone. But if it's a free product, then yes, your data is I can pretty much guarantee it's being sold or monetized, and you probably don't know how that's being done. That's right.
It's,
So the power is going to the companies that are creating the tech.
okay.
So if you're not, so we could go back into history and look at feudalism, and there's three major roles. There are the kings who grant the land to the lords,
Yeah.
and the lords are able to have anybody else around them become the serfs who do the work. And so the kings are the investors or the VCs.
Yeah.
The lords are the entrepreneurs who are creating the tech. And if you don't identify with those two, you're probably a serf.
Okay. I see.
Yes. That's kind of bleak, I realize, but that's the reality of what's happening. Climate change.